The sound of Alyssa's sneakers echoed faintly as she stepped into the marble-floored lobby of ApexCorp. Clutching her cleaning cart, she straightened her blue uniform and tried to steady her breathing. The space was cavernous, gleaming with modern decor and bustling with employees dressed in designer suits. It should have felt inspiring, but to Alyssa, it felt suffocating. The moment she walked through the glass doors, she could feel the stares. Whispers trailed behind her, as if carried by the air conditioning. A group of employees holding coffee cups paused their conversation to glance her way. One of them, a middle-aged man with a slick haircut, chuckled audibly and said, loud enough for her to hear, "Wow, her skin's even darker than my coffee. Guess there's no plastic surgery to fix that, huh?" A young woman in the group burst into laughter, her manicured fingers covering her mouth. "Not that she could afford it anyway. Maybe we should donate?" Her voice dripped with mockery. Alyssa's chest tightened. Her fingers gripped the cart's handle until her knuckles turned white. She wanted to say something, anything, but no words came. She lowered her gaze and pushed the cart forward. Her cheeks burned and her eyes stung with the effort of holding back tears. In the elevator, she caught her reflection in the polished doors. She saw the blue uniform, her dark brown skin, and the sadness clouding her usually bright eyes. The voices replayed in her head, their cruel laughter stabbing at her pride. For a brief moment, she questioned her decision to be here. Why had she chosen to put herself in this position? But then she remembered. This is my company. Alyssa inhaled deeply and straightened her back. She wasn't here to be defeated by a few callous remarks. No, she had a mission. A purpose. She'd built ApexCorp from the ground up, pouring her brilliance and resilience into every detail. But she had entrusted the leadership to Daniel Roberts, a longtime friend, only to hear rumors of corruption and toxicity creeping into its culture. She was here to uncover the truth. Disguised as a janitor, she would see it all, the unfiltered reality of how people were treated. Her pain today would be fuel for change tomorrow. Wiping the unshed tears from her eyes, Alyssa whispered to herself, "I'll clean this place, just like I'm cleaning this floor, and one day they'll know who I am." The morning passed in a blur of humiliation. Alyssa's first task was scrubbing the cafeteria floor. As she worked on her knees, a senior manager named Ellen Myers strolled past. Ellen wore an expensive tailored suit and carried an air of disdain that seemed to waft behind her like perfume. She paused to look at Alyssa and smirked. "Make sure you get under the tables," Ellen said. "We don't want crumbs lingering, like some people." Laughter erupted from a group of junior staff nearby. Alyssa kept her head down, scrubbing harder to drown out their jeers. Her hands trembled, but she refused to let them see her break. Later, as Alyssa pushed her cart through the office hallways, she accidentally bumped into a passing assistant carrying a tray of coffee. The assistant gasped, glaring at Alyssa as though she had committed a mortal sin. "Watch it," the assistant snapped. "Do you even know how much this blouse costs? Probably more than you make in a year." Alyssa mumbled an apology and hurried away, her face flushed. The humiliation piled on, layer by layer, until it felt almost unbearable. By lunchtime, she found herself sitting alone in a supply closet, trying to catch her breath. Why am I putting myself through this, she wondered. The weight of their words and actions threatened to crush her. But then she remembered her mission again. She thought of the employees who were likely enduring this treatment every day, with no way to fight back. She thought of the values she had built ApexCorp upon: equality, respect, and opportunity for all. And she thought of the promise she had made to herself, to clean this company from the inside out. With renewed determination, Alyssa stood up, wiped her face, and returned to work. As she scrubbed the floor of an executive meeting room, she whispered under her breath, "I'll clean the dirt from these floors, and soon I'll clean the rot from this company." The next day, Alyssa was assigned to clean the executive floor, a pristine level of the building reserved for the company's highest-ranking leaders. It was quiet and unnervingly sterile, with plush carpets and polished wooden doors bearing the names of executives engraved in gold. Alyssa moved silently, pushing her cart, her eyes scanning the environment. She was cleaning near the corner office when the door swung open and Daniel Roberts himself stepped out. He was tall and sharply dressed in a tailored suit, his aura radiating confidence and arrogance. He glanced at Alyssa, and his lips curled into a smirk. "You must be the new cleaner," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "Make sure you don't leave streaks on the glass. I like to see my reflection clearly." Alyssa paused, her hands gripping the cleaning rag tightly. She forced a polite smile and nodded. "Yes, sir. I'll make sure it's spotless," she replied, her voice steady. Daniel lingered, clearly enjoying the perceived power dynamic. "Good. We don't want clients thinking we're running a second-rate operation because of sloppy work, do we?" "Of course not," Alyssa said, her jaw tightening as she bent down to continue her work. As Daniel walked away, she could feel his gaze lingering on her, the weight of his judgment like a heavy cloud. The interaction left her more resolute than ever. This was the man she had trusted with her company. This was the man who had let it become toxic. He'll see soon enough who he's talking to, Alyssa thought as she polished the glass to a perfect shine. One day, he'll be the one answering to me. Alyssa's routine continued, each day bringing new challenges and deeper revelations about the toxic culture festering within ApexCorp. One morning, while she was scrubbing the lobby's marble floors, a group of executives gathered nearby. Their conversation started as casual office banter, but quickly turned into something much darker. "You know, I don't even know why they bother hiring cleaning staff anymore," one of them sneered. "It's not like they add any real value. Just replace them with robots." Another laughed. "Exactly. They're just background noise, like furniture." Alyssa's hands froze mid-scrub. Her jaw clenched as their words hit her like a slap. She wanted to stand up, to confront them, but she forced herself to stay down, her rag moving mechanically over the floor. Her heart pounded, not just from anger, but from the realization that this was the mentality infecting her company. These were the people she had entrusted to uphold her vision, and they were treating human beings as disposable. The following morning, Alyssa walked into ApexCorp with a renewed sense of purpose. This time, her cleaning cart was not just a tool for her disguise, but also a symbol of her quiet strength. Every corner she passed, every floor she mopped, was part of the stage she was setting for her ultimate reveal, gathering the final pieces. Alyssa had spent weeks collecting evidence, but today she needed the finishing touches. She positioned herself strategically near the executive lounge, where key conversations often took place. As expected, she overheard Ellen Myers discussing discrepancies in budget allocations with another executive. "If anyone finds out about this, we're toast," Ellen whispered. "Relax," the executive replied. "Daniel has it under control. Besides, who's going to believe a cleaner over us?" Alyssa pretended to scrub the floor nearby, her phone discreetly recording every word. The final puzzle pieces were falling into place. By noon, Alyssa had submitted an anonymous email to the board of directors, attaching the evidence she had meticulously compiled. Within hours, a mandatory emergency meeting was scheduled. Alyssa knew this was her moment. She changed out of her uniform and into a sharp, tailored suit that exuded authority. As she walked into the conference room, heads turned, jaws dropped, and the room fell into stunned silence. The boardroom was eerily silent as Alyssa stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the polished wooden floor. She could feel their eyes on her, a mixture of confusion, contempt, and discomfort. She exuded confidence, dressed impeccably in a tailored black suit that radiated authority. At the head of the table sat Daniel Roberts, his face twisted in disbelief. He forced a smile, though his unease was evident. "Miss, I think you're in the wrong place. This is a private meeting." Alyssa's lips curved into a calm, deliberate smile. "Actually, Mr. Roberts, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." The room collectively stiffened. Alyssa placed a thick stack of documents on the conference table and leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "My name is Alyssa Johnson. I am the founder of ApexCorp, and I'm here to reclaim what's mine." Gasps rippled through the room. Ellen Myers, seated at the far end, visibly paled, her hands trembling as she clutched her pen. Daniel, on the other hand, scoffed, though his voice wavered. "This is absurd. You're a janitor. What kind of ridiculous stunt is this?" Alyssa ignored him, pressing a button on the remote in her hand. The large screen at the front of the room lit up, displaying a series of damning evidence. Videos of employees mocking others, audio recordings of corrupt dealings, and emails outlining financial misconduct. Every revelation was more incriminating than the last. The board members sat frozen in their seats, their expressions a mix of shock and shame. Alyssa's voice was calm but firm. For weeks, I've worked undercover to uncover the rot within this company. I've seen how employees are demeaned, how funds are misappropriated, and how power is abused. She turned her gaze to Daniel, who was now visibly sweating. And you, Mr. Roberts, have not only failed to lead, but have actively contributed to the toxicity that has poisoned this company. The silence was deafening as Alyssa finished speaking. Daniel attempted to regain control, his voice trembling with desperation. This is nothing but slander. You can't prove any of this. Alyssa tilted her head, her expression unyielding. Oh, but I can. The evidence has already been shared with legal counsel and the relevant authorities. At that moment, two security officers entered the room. Daniel's face turned ashen. You can't do this, he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Actually, I can, Alyssa replied, her tone icy. Effective immediately, you are relieved of your duties. You'll be escorted out of the building, and legal proceedings will follow. As the officers approached Daniel, he attempted to protest, but his words fell on deaf ears. Ellen Myers tried to speak, her voice trembling. Alyssa, I didn't mean... You didn't mean to get caught, Alyssa interjected sharply. Your condescension, corruption, and lack of integrity have no place here. You too are dismissed. One by one, the other complicit executives were identified and stripped of their roles. The weight of their actions had finally caught up to them, and there was no escape. With the room cleared of its most toxic elements, Alyssa addressed the remaining board members and employees. Her tone softened, but her resolve remained firm. This company was built on a foundation of innovation, integrity, and respect. Starting today, we will rebuild those values from the ground up. She outlined her plans for ApexCorp's future, emphasizing fairness, transparency, and opportunities for all employees. To those who have remained true to their principles, your efforts will not go unnoticed. Together, we will create a workplace where everyone is valued. The employees who had once scoffed at her now looked at her with admiration and respect. Alyssa's leadership was undeniable, and her vision inspired hope for a better future. The following weeks were transformative for ApexCorp. The toxic culture that had plagued the company began to dissolve, replaced by an atmosphere of mutual respect and collaboration. Employees who had once been overlooked found their voices, and new initiatives flourished under Alyssa's guidance. One evening, as the sun set behind the towering skyscrapers, Alyssa stood in her office, gazing out at the city skyline. She reflected on her journey, from the humiliation she endured as a cleaner to the triumph of reclaiming her company. Her eyes fell on a familiar object tucked in the corner, her old cleaning card. A smile spread across her face as she walked over to it, running her fingers along the handle. This is where it all began, she murmured, and from here I cleaned an entire system. Before leaving the office that night, Alyssa addressed her team one last time. There is no job too small, no role insignificant. What divides us is not our work, but the prejudice and arrogance within us. Be proud, be strong, and never let anyone tell you that you don't matter. Her words resonated deeply, serving as a powerful reminder of the importance of equality and respect. Alyssa's journey was not just a story of redemption, it was a testament to the strength of integrity and the courage to stand up for what is right. With her company restored and her vision realized, Alyssa walked out of ApexCorp with her head held high, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had not only reclaimed her legacy, but had also paved the way for a brighter, more equitable future.